So trigger warning for this video, it contains mentions of sewer slide, and I'm going to be saying sewer slide in the hopes that the YouTube algorithm does not get triggered by me bringing up a sensitive topic. This isn't a hard-hitting political story, but it's just like I think a general interest story about a social issue that I think deserves attention. So here we go. Construction workers are dying from suicide at an alarming rate. The construction industry has one of the highest suicide rates among professions, with an estimated 6,000 construction workers dying as a result of suicide in 2022. In a swath of Arizona desert that will soon be home to a multi-billion-dollar semiconductor plant, Justin Asbill stood before thousands of construction workers and told the story of the day he almost took his life. Pressure had been building on Asbill for months as his job as safety director for a large Boston construction firm during the height of the pandemic. Sleep-deprived and overwhelmed, Asbill said he made the decision one morning to take his own life and pack a lethal means to do so in his lunch sack. But as he was preparing to leave for work that day, his daughter intervened. She asked him to stay home with her that day. He did, and the day provided a moment of clarity for Asbill, who then sought out help from a friend. Asbill, who got his start in construction as an iron worker, has been traveling to construction sites across the country, sharing his story as he and others in the industry race to address what they say is an epidemic of suicide among their colleagues, many of whom are under increasing strain amid a nationwide construction boom and a shortage of workers. In the construction industry, we're generationally being taught that if you talk to someone about a weakness or you're struggling, then you're weak and you won't get hired, said Asbill. One of the reasons I talk about it so freely is so people know that it's normal and it's okay. The construction industry has had one of the highest suicide rates among professions, with the rate among male construction workers 75% higher than men in the general population, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. An estimated 6,000 construction workers died as a result of suicide in 2022, an increase from 2021, according to the most recent data available. That compares to around 1,000 who died from a construction work-related injury. When you're more likely to be killed by your own hands than to get killed in a job site accident, that's a crisis in our industry, said Brian Termel, Vice President of Public Affairs and Workforce for the Associated General Contractors of America. We know pretty much what needs to happen to protect people physically. We're figuring out how to protect people mentally. While construction wages are up and jobs are plentiful, those in the industry fear that the pressure on their workers' mental health are only getting worse. A recent surge in construction projects, spurred by billions of federal dollars for infrastructure, clean energy, and semiconductor projects, have put increasing strain on an already stretched workforce. As a result, workers are putting in more than 10-hour days in harsh weather conditions, facing high-pressure deadlines, and having to spend months away from home, living in hotels, temporary workforce housing, or their vehicles. There's also the risk of workplace injuries and a higher rate of opioid misuse, along with the general financial instability of hourly work. So, I guess I wanted to talk about this story for a couple of reasons. One, and this is a topic I think we've talked about before, it's the importance of having conversations about mental health. Now, I think we're getting better with time, at least marginally, particularly among younger people. I think younger people are becoming more and more willing to talk about their struggles with mental health. Some would say they're too comfortable, but that's a topic for another day. But there's still stigma out there about mental health, and I think some of the older generations are still used to this idea. Well, I don't talk about, particularly men, I don't talk about my emotions. It makes me weak if I talk about my depression or my anxiety or my suicidal thoughts. It means I'm less of a man. It means there's something wrong with me. It means I won't be hired. My colleagues will think lesser of me. So, once again, toxic masculinity is hurting men. But dirty little secret people don't tell you about toxic masculinity. You Men can't live up to this idealized, like platonic image of a man. They just can't because they're human, and humans don't work like that. I guess the other major thing is just the importance of work-life boundaries and laws and regulations and what's the word I'm looking for? Well, laws and regulations that allow for better working conditions. Because construction workers are obviously a very important part of our society. I mean, and it's very, very hard work, very physically demanding work. It can be dangerous, as the article emphasized, and so we we live off the backbones of their labor. I don't think I've ever had as strenuous a day of work as a construction worker. And the only reason that's true is because there's other people doing that kind of work and allowing me to benefit from their labors. So that's why we need living wages. That's why we need, to have a certain number of working hours that are doable, that are human, that are humane, rather. Access to universal health care. If construction workers have better access to health care, they would probably have better mental health outcomes. So, a story like this just touches on so much. It touches on our lack of health care. It touches on stigmatization surrounding mental health. It touches on lack of unions, lack of job regulations, poor wages, poor working conditions, and overworked. I guess that's the last thing I'll say is so many people are overworked, but especially construction workers who are working over 10-hour days and sleeping in their cars and in hotel rooms. No, that's insane. That's a scandal, and more people should be talking about this.